Good evening, you're now with me, Handy Gui, for Tvs Nightline, and here are the headlines for tonight. The Sarawak government has approved the agrovoltaic solar project in Baram, accelerating construction of the solar plant. Two Chinese firms are exploring partnerships with the Sarawak government to develop the region's renewable energy sector. A passenger plane crashed on takeoff in Kathmandu, killing 18 people. A passenger plane crashed during takeoff in Kathmandu on Wednesday, and according to Nepali police, the pilot was rescued from the flaming wreckage, but all 18 passengers, including 2 crew members and 17 Asoria airline staff, perished.
Nepali police spokesman Dan Bahadur Karki said the pilot is now being treated. 18 bodies have been recovered, including 1 foreigner, and are being taken for post-mortem. Officials were unable to confirm the nationality of the sole foreigner on board. The civil aviation authorities said the flight was being conducted for either technical or maintenance purposes. The plane was scheduled to fly on Nepal's busiest air route between Kathmandu and Pokhara, an important tourism hub in the Himalayan Republic. In a statement, the military said the plane crashed at around 11:15 a.m. local time, adding that the Army's quick response team had been lending assistance with rescue efforts. Local news media reported that the airplane had caught fire after skidding on the runway. Images of the aftermath shared by Nepal's military showed the plane's fuselage split apart and burnt to a husk. Nepal has a woeful track record on aviation safety, and the Himalayan Republic has seen a spate of deadly light plane and helicopter crashes over the decades.
2 China-based companies, Shanghai Electric Power T&D Sundran Berhad and China 3 Gorgeous International Limited CTGI, have expressed interest in partnering with the Sarawak government to advance the region's renewable energy sector. Shanghai Electric Malaysia's director Zhang Xiaohui stated that this collaboration aligns with the Sarawak Premier's vision to transform the state into a renewable energy hub.
So we would like to extend the support from China 3 Gorgeous and Shanghai Electric to participate in this green energy development, and we plan to invest more than 10 billion here in Sarawak.
He spoke to reporters after paying a courtesy call to Sarawak Premier Dato' Batinggi Tan Sri Abang Joritun Openg at Wisma Bapa Malaysia earlier today. He added that both companies are among the largest developers and investors in the world for this sector, with a presence in Europe, the Middle East, Latin America, and Africa, and have been established in Sarawak for over a decade. With these achievements, he is optimistic that both companies can help realize Sarawak's aspirations in the renewable energy sector. Earlier, the Sarawak Premier also received a courtesy call from Mubadala Energy President and Manager N.R. Khalfan Al-Mansuri and Mubadala Energy Public Relations and Communications Head Varian Ignatius.
The Sarawak government has agreed in principle to the implementation of the agrovoltaic solar project in Baram. The approval paves the way for the swift commencement of solar plant construction. The project is spearheaded by a local Sarawak innovative company, Planet Kiosk Sundran Berhad. Chairman of Planet Kiosk, Dino Bidari, stated that the project also aligns with the vision of the Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Batinggi Tan Sri Abang Joritun Openg, in revolutionizing renewable energy generation in the region. Dino added the ambitious project includes the installation of up to 20 GWP solar capacity and potentially up to 40 gigawatt-hour of battery storage by 2030. Earlier, the Planet Kiosk delegation paid a courtesy call to the Premier of Sarawak at his office in Petrojaya, together with their financial partner, UEM Lestra. Meanwhile, Chairman of UEM Group Berhad, Dato' Amran Hafiz Afifuddin, said their initial focus is on developing 500 megawatt alternating current of agrivoltaic solar.
Kita amat berbesar hati kerana mendapat peluang untuk memberikan cadangan kita kepada Kerajaan Negeri Sarawak, dan alhamdulillah kerajaan secara prinsipnya setuju untuk kita teruskan dengan projek ini, dan langkah seterusnya ialah untuk menjalankan feasibility study yang akan kita jalankan dengan kadar segera, dan insya-Allah sekiranya semua berjalan lancar, kita amat merasa excited untuk meneruskan projek yang kita rasa amat baik sekali untuk Kerajaan Negeri Sarawak, rakyat Sarawak dan juga Malaysia.
Also present during the courtesy visit were Planet Kiosk CEO Dr. Gabriel Walter and COO Lam Poh Lian. Deputy Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Amar Dr. Sim Kui Hian, emphasised that civil servants, particularly in Sarawak, must maintain the highest levels of integrity and ethical standards to combat corruption and uphold a clean, corruption-free image in public service. Dr. Sim said reports from the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC revealed a growing concern on the number of corruption practices involving civil servants.
The MACC statistics show that in 2023, there are 437 cases of civil service being arrested. And in the first 6 months of 2024, 319 people arrested. Or is that because MACC want to target civil servants only? Or because a lot more complaint? I don't know. But it always seems to be people highlight it. Even though, you consider 437 and 319 this year, we got about 1.5 million civil service, roughly. It's a small percentage, but we still need to safeguard it. We still need to safeguard so that we're really proud to honor to serve.
He said this at the Integrity Day of the Minister of Public Health, Housing and Local Government Sarawak at Wisma Sabati on Wednesday. Dr. Sim, who is also the Minister of Public Health, Housing and Local Government Sarawak, added the importance of technology adoption in enhancing transparency, referring to advancements in digital transactions as a way to reduce corrupt practices. He cited the example of China's government implementing digital payments as a model to ensure every transaction is transparent and traceable. He also emphasized the financial prosperity of Sarawak and the importance of maintaining its reputation amidst the rapid economic growth, highlighting its significant contributions from initiatives like the methanol plant in Bintulu, which is expected to generate $3 billion annually. Sarawak has set a goal of winning 12 gold medals in weightlifting at the upcoming Para Sukma Games in September. Minister of Women, Childhood and Community Wellbeing Development, Dato' Sri Fatimah Abdullah, noted that the target was revised down from 14 goals following the ineligibility of para-athlete Nicodemus Mangoy Moses, who qualified for the 2024 Paralympic Games in Paris.
Peraturan telah menyatakan dengan jelas kalau sudah mencapai taraf tersebut tidak boleh lagi bertanding untuk para sukma. So dari situ kita perlu pastikan bahawa bilangan medal kita tidak kurang daripada apa yang ada sekarang ini, daripada 14 tolak 2 jadi 12. Kita harap kita akan dapat lagi nanti medal daripada total lift. Ini satu lagi perkara yang diambil kira dalam acara angkat berat kali ini, iaitu dari segi jumlah yang dapat diangkat keseluruhannya.
She added that the physical and mental preparation of the athletes is equally crucial in reclaiming the top title from Sabah. The Para Sukma Games will be held in Sarawak from September 21st to 28. Starting in October, MIRI will introduce a new state-of-the-art smart buses to replace its fleet of aging buses. Sarawak's Transport Minister Dr. Sri Lee Kim Shin announced that the smart buses will enhance passengers' comfort and safety, as well as improving public transportation in the city.
They have to come up with the money to buy the buses, and you pay them for the services free. You introduce free urban buses, city buses here in Miri. New buses that are ordered here for, they can carry up to 55 passengers. We hope that it will be full. That's why we have big media. They're not ordering the small, the mini. That's why we wanted the bus company to come up with these smart buses. And the smart buses should be arriving by October, by September, and we hope we'll be able to introduce it in October. The free public bus, smart bus service here in Miri. And at the same time, we also, they can go to the app to see when, these buses are arriving and so on.
He said this when officiating the Miri Urban Transportation Action Plan MUTAP Stakeholders Workshop on Wednesday. The free bus service is designed to serve various purposes, such as encouraging public transport usage, assisting the B40 income group and students to reach their destinations, and attracting tourists to explore Miri. Moreover, local authorities plan to implement dedicated bus lanes using technologies similar to ART and a traffic signal priority TSP system to ensure timely bus movements. Now, environmental, social and governance ESG principles are well recognized in the region. Yet many people are unaware that these assessments by companies and investors cover more than just environmental issues. ESG encompasses three interconnected values: profit, people and planet.
Sharing her thoughts, Head of Research Fellow, Energy and Sustainability Division, Institute of Sustainable and Renewable Energy, University of Malaysia Sarawak UNIMAS, Dr. Floriana Lendai Michael said many are unaware of the importance of how ESG principles complement each other.
Comes the social part, where a lot of people do not understand how is that related to environmental, but social dimension is actually looking at the company's relationship with the stakeholders. Basically, does this particular company works with suppliers that holds the same value that it claims it holds? Contohnya, if I said that I'm a sustainable company and I believe in reducing waste, and I believe in making sure that my company is practicing or energy efficiency, then I will also have to take a look at how do I associate myself with the people that I work with in the supply chain. And then does the company do some donation, like in terms of CSR? What about does the company actually care for the safety and health of the employees? And then they also look at whether other interests of the stakeholders are being taken into consideration. So it's not just the traditional way of doing business anymore, where you only look at the profit, but we look at the profit, people, planet.
In an exclusive interview with TVS, Dr. Floriana highlighted the growing importance of ESG principles for businesses and investors. These principles are increasingly seen as crucial for investment prospects and significantly influence investor confidence. She noted that in addition to societal responsibility, regulations and sustainability policies implemented by the European Union are key contributors to this trend.
Number one, there is a regulatory changes. Okay, this is the most important part. And we have the EU has already coming out with their regulation, their taxonomy, policies and all, which they have imposed on not just businesses within Europe, but those who are having a relationship within the supply chain of the EU businesses. And because of this, there is an increased government regulations in other part of the world and policies that actually aim at promoting sustainability and how do we actually run a sustainable business practices. Then we also have an increasing demand from the investors. they want to seek to invest in companies that demonstrate a strong ESG performance from the reporting lah. Then we also have a rising consumer awareness. You can see people boycotting businesses that are probably involved with war, etc. And they will try to boycott. So that is actually the S part. So imagine if you're the investors of the company, you'll be losing a lot of money if people stop buying your things, right? So that is the consumer expectation. They want to be associated with a business that actually more ethical, the demand for ethical and sustainable products and services. And then next, back to the reputation and brand, companies with these strong ESG practices.
Hello there and welcome back. Education Minister Fadlina Siddiq will address the issue concerning contributions and sponsorships by alcoholic beverage companies to Chinese schools. According to Government spokesperson and Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil, the matter has been discussed in the Cabinet. However, the details will be provided by the relevant minister.
Jadi ada dibincangkan dan diputuskan Menteri Pendidikan akan jawab nanti. So saya minta untuk berhubung dengan pejabat Menteri Pendidikan.
He said this at a press conference after a cabinet meeting at his ministry on Wednesday. Meanwhile, when asked whether the government will establish guidelines for donations to Chinese schools, Fahmi also directed the media to refer to the education minister. Now, the Cabinet has instructed the Royal Malaysia Police PDRM, the Attorney General's Chambers AGC, and the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission MCMC to enhance and synchronize their efforts in investigating and prosecuting online crimes. Communications Minister and Government spokesperson Fahmi Fadzil announced that this directive comes in response to an increase in online crimes, especially involving three major threats, namely scam fraud, cyberbullying and sexual crimes related to the distribution of pornography.
Ketiga-tiga ancaman kepada keselamatan rakyat ini adalah perkara yang kita lihat tidak boleh dibenarkan berlarutan, dan inilah antara sebab kenapa dalam tempoh dari semalam dan juga beberapa hari yang lalu pihak MCMC telah mengeluarkan surat arahan kepada sejumlah platform untuk mereka memberi maklum balas berkaitan isu-isu seperti yang saya sebutkan tadi. Kerana didapati daripada sejumlah platform yang kita sedang teliti, setiap platform ada mempunyai tahap compliance rate yang berbeza. Ada yang lebih pantas akur, ada yang langsung tidak akur ataupun sangat lewat untuk menjawab pihak berkuasa.
The Department of Statistics Malaysia DOSM reports that Malaysia's inflation rate remained stable at 2% in June 2024, with the Consumer Price Index CPI reaching 133.0, up from 130.4 in the same month last year. Chief Statistician Dr. Sri Muhammad Uzair Mahidin attributed this growth to increases in restaurant and accommodation services, along with housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels. Other notable contributors included personal care, social protection, and various goods and services 2.8%, as well as food and beverages 2.0%. Furthermore, he noted that the inflation rise in restaurant and accommodation services was driven by a significant increase in the main subgroup of beverage service provision, which jumped to 4.2%. Regarding state-level inflation, most states recorded increases below the national inflation rate of 2.0%. However, 4 states experienced rates above the national level, namely Penang 3.3%, Sarawak 2.7%, Pahang 2.7%, and Selangor 2.4%. Meanwhile, comparing inflation rates with selected countries, Malaysia's rate is lower than Vietnam, 4.3%, the Philippines, 3.7%, Indonesia, 2.5%, and South Korea, 2.4%. However, it is higher than in Thailand, 0.6%, and China, 0.2%. The government is urged to implement reforms in the national economic ecosystem to improve the value of the ringgit. Senior lecturer at the Faculty of Economics and Business, University Malaysia Sarawak UNIMAS, Dr. Zul Hazwan Huzaini, emphasized the need to transform the business and industrial structure into high-end economic sectors.
According to him, existing economic policies must cover key aspects through education reform and the adaptation of high-skill technology.
Malaysia harus mereformasikan struktur ekonomi dengan memfokus kepada industrial upgrading, yang mana ini melibatkan upgrading daripada low-end economic sector kepada high-end economic sector. Sebagai contoh, industri pertanian ini boleh dibahagikan kepada dua, iaitu low-end dan high-end economic activity. Begitu juga dengan sektor-sektor yang lain. Ini adalah nilai tambah yang perlu dan harus kita usahakan. Pada akhirnya, pelabur akan minat untuk melabur di Malaysia kerana keupayaan kita dalam mengendalikan sektor ekonomi yang kompleks.
He said this when contacted by TVS. Malaysia, he explained, must be capable of producing high-value products on a large scale, involving minimal cost and time. However, he acknowledged that this initiative requires time and continuous effort, but he stressed that early steps must be taken to restore the ringgit's value.
Melalui Migrity Ventures.
Relentless rain drenched the northern Philippines today, triggering floods in Manila and landslides in the mountainous region as Typhoon Gaimi intensified the seasonal monsoon in the densely populated capital. Rescuers were deployed across the city to help evacuate people from low-lying homes after downpours turned streets into rivers, trapping vehicles.
People clutched flimsy umbrellas as they waded through thigh-deep murky water or used small boats and shopping trolleys to move around.
Nagpunta po kami doon sa may Walter, bibili sana kami ng pagkain. Pag-uwi namin gano'n na po ang nangyari. Hindi naman kami makapasok.
Restaurant employee Rex Morano said he wasn't able to work due to the very high floodwaters.
Malaki po kasi di po makapasok sa trabaho eh. Kailangan po talagang sumugol yan kaso lang napakalalim yung tubig.
A state of calamity was declared for Manila, unlocking funds for relief efforts after the state weather forecaster warned of serious flooding in some areas. Government offices were shut and classes suspended. At least 80 domestic and international flights were cancelled, and tens of thousands of customers lost power because of the weather. The state weather forecaster said Typhoon Gamy, which has swept past the Philippines as it heads towards Taiwan, intensified the southwest monsoon rains typical for this time of year. It added that more than 200 millimeters of rain fell in the capital in the last 24 hours. More heavy rain was expected on Thursday. The death toll from heavy rains over swaths of the country in the past 2 weeks was at least 12, as tens of thousands sheltered in evacuation centers. President Ferdinand Marcos ordered disaster response officials to ensure they had sufficient stockpiles of food for the hardest-hit areas because their situation is critical. Hard-scrabble neighborhoods near Manila Bay were badly affected, with most of the streets underwater and more than 2,000 people forced to flee their homes.
Wrapping up the Nightline, humanitarian organizations are rushing to deliver critical aid to a remote area in southern Ethiopia following a landslide that claimed the lives of over 200 people, marking it the deadliest such event in the country's history. The disaster occurred in the mountainous Kecho Saka locality of the Gofa zone, where residents and gathered crowds have been searching through piles of red dirt with shovels and bare hands for survivors and victims. Meanwhile, the Regional Communications Department confirmed the death of 148 men and 81 women after the landslide struck the isolated part of the South Ethiopia regional state. Images published on social media by the Gofa authorities showed residents carrying bodies of makeshift stretchers, some wrapped in plastic sheeting. 5 people had been pulled alive from the mud and were receiving treatment at medical facilities. The government-owned Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation reported earlier that most of the victims were buried after they went to help local residents hit by the first landslide following heavy rains. And among the victims were the locality's administrator, as well as teachers, health professionals, and agricultural professionals. The UN's Humanitarian Response Agency, OCHA, said more than 14,000 people had been affected in the hard-to-access area, which is roughly 450 kilometers from the capital Addis Ababa, about a 10-hour drive. Additionally, support for those affected was mostly being shouldered by the local community, but some initial relief items had been sent by federal and regional authorities and local partners, including 4 trucks of supplies dispatched by the Ethiopian Red Cross for 500 households. Ethiopia, the second most populous country in Africa with around 120 million people, is highly vulnerable to climate disasters, including flooding and drought. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. For more headlines anytime, anywhere, just head on to our official website at tvsarawak.my or follow us on our social media platforms. Those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Handy Gui. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.